If someone asked me to hand them just 5 Nintendo Switch games that really show why this system has been so special, this is the list I would go with. I am talking about games that feel essential, not just because they are popular, but because each one delivers something the Switch does better than almost anyone else. You have adventure, platforming, racing, fighting, and a more relaxed action game that almost anybody can enjoy. What I like about these 5 is that they cover different moods and different kinds of players. Some are great if you play alone for hours, some are perfect when friends or family come over, and some just remind me why Nintendo is so good at making games feel fun right away. So if you own a Switch and you want the most important games to start with, these are my picks. Breath of the Wild is the first game I think about when someone asks me which Switch game is truly essential. I have played a lot of open world games over the years, but this one still feels different because it trusts the player in a way most games do not. The moment I stepped into Hyrule and realized I could head in almost any direction, climb nearly anything, and solve problems my own way, it just clicked with me. What makes it special is not only the size of the world, it is the feeling of discovery. You see something strange in the distance, and usually there is a reward for checking it out. A shrine, a hidden puzzle, a strong weapon, a weird enemy camp, or just a view that makes you stop for a second. Even getting distracted feels meaningful here. The combat and physics systems also make everything more interesting. You can fight in the normal way, but you can also use fire, wind, metal objects, bombs, and the environment itself. That freedom makes every encounter feel more personal. On top of that, the quiet atmosphere, the music, and the sense of adventure are incredible. This is one of those rare games I think every Switch owner should experience at least once, because it really shows how magical exploration can feel. Super Mario Odyssey is the kind of game I can recommend to almost anyone without worrying if they will enjoy it. It is pure fun from the first few minutes, and that is something I do not say lightly. Nintendo took the classic Mario formula, then added so much creativity that almost every new area feels like a fresh surprise. I remember starting it and immediately feeling that same excitement I had as a kid playing Mario for the first time. The big hook, of course, is Cappy. Being able to throw your hat and capture enemies, objects, and random creatures changes everything. It gives the game this constant sense of playfulness because you never know what weird idea it will throw at you next. One minute you are doing tight platforming, the next you are controlling something completely unexpected and laughing at how clever it is. What I love most is how easy it is to enjoy, while still having a ton of depth for players who want to master it. You can finish the main adventure and have a great time, but if you go after more power moons, the challenge really opens up. The movement also feels amazing. Running, jumping, diving, and chaining moves together is just satisfying. To me, Odyssey is one of the best examples of why Nintendo platformers are still so hard to beat. It is colorful, smart, welcoming, and packed with joy from beginning to end. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the easiest game on this list to call a must-play because it works in almost every situation. If I'm playing alone, it is fun. If friends come over, it is fun. If family members who barely touch games want to join in, it is still fun. Very few games are this reliable. That is a huge reason why I always put it near the top of any essential Switch list. What makes it so strong is how instantly enjoyable it is. You do not need a long tutorial or a lot of patience. You pick a character, choose a cart, and within seconds you are drifting around corners, grabbing items, and yelling when a blue shell ruins everything. It is simple enough for beginners to understand, but there is still real skill in learning tracks, taking tight lines, and timing boosts correctly. The amount of content is also ridiculous. The track selection is huge, and the quality stays high all the way through. There are classic courses, newer courses, wild anti-gravity sections, and so many great multiplayer moments. Even after a long time, it still feels fresh because every race can go a different way. I also think it is one of the best examples of the Switch as a social console. Hand somebody a Joy-Con and they are in. That matters. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is not just one of the best Switch games, it is one of the easiest games in the world to recommend. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate feels like a giant celebration of video games, and that is a big reason why I think every Switch owner should try it. Even before you get into the gameplay, the roster alone is wild. You have Mario, Link, Pikachu, Kirby, Samus, and then so many other characters from across gaming history. Just seeing everybody together still feels kind of unreal to me, and it gives the game a special energy right away. What I like most is how it works for different types of players. If you just want to jump in, pick a favorite character, and mash buttons with friends, it is a blast. The matches are chaotic, funny, and full of those moments where everyone in the room starts shouting at once. But if you want more depth, it is absolutely there. Learning movement, timing, spacing, edge guarding, and matchups can take a long time, and that skill ceiling is part of what makes the game so impressive. It also has a ton of content outside basic versus mode. There are stages, music tracks, spirits, and so much fan service packed into every corner. It feels like a game made by people who really love this medium. More than that, it is one of the best party games and one of the best fighting games on the Switch at the same time. That is not easy to do, and Smash Ultimate pulls it off. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the game I usually recommend when someone wants an action game on Switch that feels approachable but still genuinely satisfying. I think that balance is harder to get right than people realize. A lot of games are either so simple that they feel forgettable or so demanding that newer players bounce off them. This one lands right in that sweet spot. It is easy to get into, but it still feels polished, creative, and worth playing all the way through. What surprised me most the first time I played it was how well Kirby made the jump into this more fully three-dimensional style. The levels are bright, clean, and fun to move through, with enough secrets and side paths to keep things interesting without ever becoming frustrating. Combat also feels better than some people might expect. Copy abilities are still the heart of the experience, and using them is a big part of the fun. Whether you are freezing enemies, swinging a sword, or blasting things from a distance, everything feels smooth and satisfying. Then you have Mouthful mode, which adds a lot of charm and a bunch of memorable moments. It is silly in the best way, and that playful energy fits Kirby perfectly. On top of that, the co-op option makes it even easier to recommend. To me, this is one of the safest bets on Switch because it is welcoming, polished, and honestly just a great time. So if I had to narrow the entire Nintendo Switch library down to just 5 games that I think everybody should play, this would be my list. Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros., and Kirby. I feel like these 5 cover the system so well. They show the adventure, the creativity, the local multiplayer fun, and that classic Nintendo charm that made so many of us fall in love with games in the first place. If your list looks different, that is fair because the Switch has a lot of great games. But for me, these are the 5 that best represent what makes the console special.